Today, our topic is the dark side of pleasure, Stoic insights. Life is full of experiences that bring us joy, excitement, and pleasure. We all seek happiness and often think that pleasure is the key to a good life. But the Stoic philosophers like Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius had a different view. They believed that pleasure, while it feels good in the moment, can have a dark side. It can trap us, distract us, and even lead us away from true happiness and peace. Let's explore this idea and see what Stoicism teaches us about the dangers of chasing pleasure and how we can find a deeper, more lasting kind of joy. First, let's talk about what pleasure is. Pleasure is a feeling of enjoyment or satisfaction. It comes from things like eating delicious food, watching a favorite show, buying something new, or spending time with friends. These things are not bad in themselves. In fact, they can be wonderful parts of life. But the Stoics warn us that if we rely too much on pleasure, or if we chase it all the time, it can become a problem. Why? Because pleasure is temporary. It comes and goes. If we base our happiness on pleasure, we will always be chasing the next thing, always wanting more, and never feeling truly satisfied. The Stoics believe that true happiness comes from within, not from external things. They taught that we should focus on what we can control: our thoughts, our actions, and our attitudes, rather than chasing after things we can't control, like pleasure, wealth, or fame. When we rely on external things for happiness, we give away our power. We become slaves to our desires, always wanting more, always feeling like we're missing something. But when we focus on our inner strength, on our ability to think clearly and act with virtue, we find a deeper kind of peace. This is the Stoic ideal, a life of wisdom, courage, self-control, and justice. So what is the dark side of pleasure? Let's look at some examples. Imagine you love eating sweets. Every time you eat a piece of cake or a cookie, you feel happy. But if you eat too many sweets, you might start to feel sick or gain weight. The pleasure of eating the sweets is short-lived, but the consequences can last much longer. Or think about someone who loves shopping. Buying new things can feel exciting, but if you spend too much money, you might end up in debt. The pleasure of shopping is temporary, but the stress of debt can last for months or even years. These examples show how pleasure can have a cost. It can lead us to make choices that harm us in the long run. The Stoics also warn us about the dangers of addiction. When we chase pleasure, we can become addicted to it. We start to need more and more to feel the same level of happiness. This is why people who chase pleasure often end up feeling empty or unsatisfied. They are always looking for the next high, the next thrill, but it never lasts. The Stoics believe that the key to happiness is not to avoid pleasure altogether, but to enjoy it in moderation. We should appreciate the good things in life, but not let them control us. We should be grateful for what we have, but not become attached to it. Another problem with pleasure is that it can distract us from what really matters. When we spend all our time chasing after fun and excitement, we might neglect our responsibilities or ignore the needs of others. We might forget to take care of our health, our relationships, or our personal growth. The Stoics believe that life is about more than just having fun. It's about living with purpose, about doing what is right, and about becoming the best version of ourselves. Pleasure can be a nice bonus, but it shouldn't be our main goal. So how can we avoid the dark side of pleasure? The Stoics offer some practical advice. First, they suggest that we practice self-control. This means being aware of our desires and not letting them take over. When we feel the urge to chase after pleasure, we should pause and ask ourselves, is this really good for me? Will this bring me lasting happiness or just a temporary thrill? By thinking before we act, we can make better choices and avoid the pitfalls of excess. Second, the Stoics teach us to focus on what is within our control. We can't control everything that happens to us, but we can control how we respond. Instead of chasing after external things like money, fame, or pleasure. We should focus on developing our inner strength. We should work on becoming wiser, braver, and more disciplined. These qualities will help us face life's challenges with courage and grace, and they will bring us a deeper sense of fulfillment. Third, the Stoics encourage us to practice gratitude. Instead of always wanting more, we should take time to appreciate what we already have. When we focus on the good things in our lives, we feel more content and less driven by the need for pleasure. Gratitude helps us see that we don't need to chase after external things to be happy. We already have everything we need within us. Finally, the Stoics remind us that life is short and unpredictable. We don't know how much time we have, so we should make the most of it. Instead of wasting our time on trivial pleasures, we should focus on what really matters: our relationships, our personal growth, and our contributions to the world. By living with purpose and integrity, we can find a deeper kind of happiness that doesn't depend on external things. In conclusion, the Stoic view of pleasure is a powerful reminder that true happiness comes from within. While pleasure can be enjoyable, it has a dark side that can trap us, distract us, and lead us away from what really matters. By practicing self-control, focusing on what we can control, cultivating gratitude, and living with purpose, we can avoid the pitfalls of excess and find a more lasting kind of joy. The Stoics teach us that life is not about chasing after pleasure, but about living with wisdom, courage, and virtue. When we embrace these principles, we can live a life of true fulfillment and peace.